Take my hand, oh Abba Father, show me what you say. Guide me from within my spirit, I will let you lead.
What's going on, y'all? So, we already got someone watching. Hey, Sheila. Good to see you. So, today I'm just going to be doing a full black canvas painting challenge today. Once I actually find the right canvas. Apparently, I've misplaced it. Well, there we go. Got myself a little one. So, we're just going to break this open because I thought I had one ready. I did not. That one was already painted up. Just an unfinished painting. So, today we're going to do a 1 hour black canvas painting. Starting with the blank canvas, I'm just going to go through, show y'all all the steps that's necessary to create your little black canvas painting, and show y'all all the different techniques that I use. And I'm already wearing the paint, so I'm doing it right. Yes. And here's my brush. So I'm going to use this brush, which is a filbert brush. It's probably about the equivalent of a number 8, but it says SKDT 14, so I'm not sure how they translate that, but that's what we're going to do. So it's 6:08 right now. Let's get started. So the first thing, I'm just going to take this and just let this sucker glop all around. Oh, that was a lot. I hope that didn't get on the... It's a good thing I have rubs. Yes. I'm going to glop it all around, and I'm going to make sure it's a kind of thin layer, but nothing is showing underward. You don't want it to show under. And I've got a gesso brush that I don't care about, that I can be real rough with. And I just make sure that everything doesn't show through. Then I will actually worry about letting this guy... Oh, actually, you know what? I won't even have to worry about time, I don't think. So I'm going to just paint all around this entire thing. I'm going to be painting the face. I'm going to be painting the edges, all sides. Obviously not the back. There's no point. But the reason for this is when you sell it or when you post it up for work, if someone doesn't like the frame, which happens often, some people don't like frames. Some people like to choose their own frames. If that does happen, you're covered. And it still looks really nice. Even some art galleries prefer you to have frames as well, or not frames, but have painted around the edges. It honestly just gives you a little bit more of a professional look. And then whenever you're done painting all this acrylic, this black acrylic, all over the edges, you let it dry for about a minute because it's really thick. I honestly didn't want to put as much as I did on it, but oh well. We're going to have to work with it and just let it dry for about a minute. And I can go over and talk about the different techniques while we're waiting for the sucker to dry. And also, when you finish it, or when you're finishing up and you're letting it dry, I want you to go ahead and take the canvas and kind of brush them all in the same direction. Even though it's acrylic, and it'll kind of turn matte, like matted, which is not very glossy. It's like very flat and doesn't reflect as much. When you thin it out, I want you to kind of just brush it around in the same direction, kind of like Bob Ross does. And what this does is it prevents the glare from coming in multiple directions. It allows you to have one specific direction where the glitter comes in, so that you can come back and you can twist it and turn it in any which way you want. All right. Now that that's complete, our objective is literally just to let it hang in. I'm going to also be wetting my brush off a little bit, because you don't want this to be completely dry. You want this to soak it and then wipe it off, because if your acrylics get dried in this thing, then it ruins the brush, and that's an expensive brush. It's like $15. I don't particularly care about it, but I do maintenance enough to where I won't have to take care of it a lot. So take a shop towel or something and just start wiping it off whenever you've finished. So it's not dry. It might take another minute or two for this thing to dry, because I did glop it on really thick. So one thing you could do is just lay it on your chair. If you have black shorts or pants, you don't have to worry about getting it on your pants. Fortunately, I am wearing black shorts, so I will not have to worry about that. So the whole, the technique behind it is a glazing, or not a glazing technique, it's an underpainting technique. It's a very simple one. I'm not going to go into huge amounts of detail on the broadcast. I'll probably finish it off the broadcast. Or if someone likes it so much that it's finished, they can buy it off of me. I don't know. Oh yeah, Sheila, congratulations on the sale. I did see that. That was awesome. So happy for you. Sold one of your first sold your first painting. That's seriously the most amazing feeling whenever you finish it and it sells. Okay, it's not dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually start painting a different painting while I'm waiting for this thing to dry. Just to fill the time. There we go. We got 11 by 14. It's fairly small. I think I'll wait for about 3 to 5 minutes on the black canvas, just to make sure it's completely dry. Get out my oils. We'll start on a little beach scene while we're waiting. Just horse around with that until I reach over, touch it, see it's good to go. All right. Now, first line of business is the sky. For those of y'all that have painted with me, I always start in the corners. So right now, I'm just going to grab some ultramarine blue. Yeah, we'll start over here. And anybody can do this. This is literally just blocking in the sky, which just means covering the canvas. With the basic colors and shapes that you want. And here we go. Let's get some ultramarine blue a little bit more. Thank you so much. It was unexpected. Nice. Well, it's always a blessing when it's unexpected. Yoink. Gonna make sure it's nice and dark up at the top. And then I'm gonna kind of come around, just flattening it out. You have little blank spaces where I can come back and hit it with white and blue at the same time. There we go. I'm just touching around the edges with that white and blue that I've got. And if you ever start running out of that blue and white combination, just to make it again, it's just a little bit of ultramarine blue, or a lot of ultramarine blue, and a little bit of white to kind of milk it up. And create the illusion of like fluffy little cloudy things right around here. I'm just tapping them in, just little touches. And I'm doing it relatively quickly because I want to kind of paint as much as I can before that thing dries. Maybe work on 2 projects at once. It's called multitasking. Anybody can do it. Actually, it's really not something that anybody can do unless they think about it. When you think about it, it makes it a lot easier. At least when you think about it for the start. And the reason for that, when you're intentional and you practice being intentional for a little bit, it helps when you're just so used to doing something, it becomes like second nature. Okay, so now I'm going to go into a little bit of crimson once I get closer to the bottom line. So right around this area, which is going to be the horizon line. And you know what? I'm actually going to have some sand dunes right here, maybe a couple trees. We'll see. What do y'all want to see in it? God has blessed you with painting, so the anointing you have imparted to me, your paintings are anointed, and so thank you. Appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to kind of let the sky kind of disappear, going this way. Well, actually, you know what? I'll make the sky just a little bit bigger. So I'll keep, we'll probably put a little tree here or something. All right. Something right above, or maybe a building. I don't know. You know what? I don't like buildings. Disregard that. If it's not a barn, I'm not going to paint it. More than likely. Unless someone's paying me, I don't like painting buildings. Not typically. Unless it's like a little barnyard piece. Barns are super easy to paint because you can put in the little individual planks and stuff with a palette knife. In which case, that's easy. And the roofs, same thing with tiles. It's very, very easy. Just one over the other. And work up from there. All right. So let's get a little bit of dark colors back on. Just around the edges. We'll say our light source is coming that way. No. No, we're gonna have it go coming from this. Coming this way, going this way. And we'll have a big cloud or something right here, covering up this shadowy area. And we're going to kind of put a little bit of space in between some other clouds, a little bit of dark spots, which creates a little depth. Just turn that over, flip it around, cut into clouds, have different areas where it cuts through. Go back into some white. Phthalo, not phthalo blue. I almost said phthalo blue. Ultramarine blue. And then we'll have actually a little bit of that color right here. Press down real hard because we want that color to show. Oh, you know what? I don't have crimson out here on my palette. That's not a good thing. Whoops. Get on my palette. Let's grab the Knife. Dig in there with a little bit of crimson. So that I can have that for later. So I just tapped once into the crimson at the tip, and I'm gonna kind of mix it in. I'm gonna do that one more time. So I can have almost like a lavender color. Just change it up with the flavor a little bit. So that my shadows can have a little bit of different flavor as well. And you only need like this much because crimson's ridiculously powerful. So I was watching a buddy of mine's broadcast. He's also an artist. His name's Tim Gagnon. He's a local artist around here too. He's in the same organization as I am with Matt Tommy. And he was giving all sorts of demonstrations of art and also of his work, and had another guest on with, oh goodness, what was it? It's what's called Agatelier or something like that. It's basically a style of art that's very realistic, and classically trained artists and masters paint with that classic realism. So I was actually delving into that a little bit and kind of listening to what he was saying, and realized, whoa, I can actually sharpen up my process and, see what new things I can improve on my process. So I'm going to go in, do some research on different art techniques and processes that I can use myself to improve for my process and add to my set of skills. I'm still going to paint the way I want to paint, but it's just going to be a new way of painting. All right, let's reach over and touch these canvas real quick. It's kind of tacky, but it's close. think it's almost good enough to paint on. Almost. So if you paint real thick on the acrylics, it takes a lot longer than 2 minutes to dry. So we're already 20 minutes in. That's not fun. I might not get done with that, but who knows? I just might. Let us get in here to the edges. So one thing that I noticed when I was studying clouds the other day is that when you look at them and they're real far away and it's like almost sunset time, they'll have like a dark lavender kind of almost like an outlining on the bright spots of the clouds. I don't know why that is. I think it's the precipitation or something. But it kind of had hard lines on those dark lines or those outlines. So I'm going to start kind of imitating that just a little bit here. Just with the tip of my brush. Those small details that I learned out there. And I'm trying to keep it as thin as possible and dark as possible because you want them to show up. But I want it to be like a subtle transition. So like this area, I know it's kind of hard to see. I'll actually get closer to the canvas real quick and move my flops out of the way so y'all can see what's going on. And I'll bring the camera closer. What a mess. And I'm going to bring my cake over too because I still have leftovers from that day I made the cake. And it is delicious. Okay, that's about close enough. So it looks like a lavender, and it's very, very close to a blue, but not quite. Just enough to where you can tell, hey, that's not the same color or hue. So like right here. So it's, in this case, it's good to paint all the other colors first, like all your brighter colors, and work light to dark. It's kind of opposite and counterintuitive, but it works. Here we go. Let's go back into that ultramarine blue, get a little bit of white, get it back on the brush, mix. And then we'll go the tops because we can. You're gonna get a lot more white. Nice glop of it, mixing in with this, just what's on the brush. Very, very bright. Now I'm going to get some ultramarine blue again, so just straight ultramarine blue. Kind of tap it in, because we're going to have a little dark spot right here. And again, right here. I want to divide, have different dividing spots where these clouds are. Have different spots where it looks like, okay, there could potentially be some form of a cloud and precipitation in between. So now I actually just went in and grabbed a little bit of crimson to kind of make that lavender, not even a lavender, this is more like a, whatever you call, like not a vermilion, but a purple towards the red side. That's the best way I have to describe it because I don't know my colors. Let's get a little bit more of that white side here. All right, it should be ready by now. Timer has started again. I'm going to put this little guy right down here on a canvas that's being used as a teaching piece. All right, it's pretty close. So first line of business with these black canvases, yeah, this is really close to being completely dry. So now it's just slightly tacky. So for this one, all you need to do is get your palette knife, the biggest one that you own, and you are going to take a good sized glop of ultramarine blue, and strictly ultramarine blue, and just put it on there. And make sure your palette knife is clean, because if it has white on there, that's not a good thing. Because you want this to be dark, and you want it to show through. You want there to be a small amount of blue left on the canvas. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of scraping it off and then putting it back on, and then scraping it off, putting it back on, so that it gets a nice thin layer on there. Here, I suppose I'll put it up here for y'all to see, just to make it easier on y'all. Anytime you run out of the blue, you just go back, put it back on. Obviously, I have a little bit of white in there, which I don't particularly want there, but I'm going to leave it just because I might be able to actually use that and integrate it. I'm just going to roll with it. Think of it as one of them happy accidents, because it might turn into a star, it might turn into a reflection, who knows? I'm going to use it. It's going to be nice later. Matter of fact, I need to work pretty quickly, because I do know I'm on a time crunch right now. I've got like 30 minutes to work on this, and this process is not exactly the fastest process. I do like taking my time on these because they're so much fun to do, and they look super satisfying when you finish them. Where? There we go. Let's get it on these last edges. You don't want to leave any edges out. And it is perfectly good whenever you leave some black spaces, or at least when it shows black through, because the ultramarine blue is actually transparent on your black canvas. Yep. There we go. Wipe off your palette knife. And now what you're going to do is you're going to strip all that thick ultramarine blue right off of your canvas. Wipe off your knife if it doesn't come off your palette. And if you have any blank spaces, just use that extra bit to kind of scrape it and put it on. And then scrape it back off. Wipe off the knife, go back. There we go. All right, next pour. Grab the biggest brush you own. In my case, I've got a 2-incher. And now you're just going to brush it in crisscross strokes to really get it in there. Going to brush it all the way to the side, and then we're going to come back top to bottom, because top to bottom removes almost all of the glare. And then you're just going to wipe off the brush really quickly. I'm going to actually have to clean out this bucket here pretty soon, or get me a new one, because it's just dirty as all get out. Dry off your brush and grab your 1-inch brush. Or in my case, I'm going to use a little bit smaller of a brush than that. No, I'm just going to use 1 inch. Forget it. All right, take a palette knife. Make sure you scrape out all of the ultramarine blue out of the white that you're going to use. You're about to dig into your white now. And then take all the white, take a big glop of it within your bristles, and you want it on the sides, on both sides, so you can hit one point as your light source, in which in my case, I'm going to turn this guy to the side. I like portrait pictures. I like landscape pictures. I don't like portrait style pictures. Here, I'll be a goof and just kind of put that little scratches in there beforehand. Just see what happens later. Who knows? Might be able to use it, might not. Just being creative. Tossing my stuff. Now I'm loading up my bristles real thick with paint. And I'm just going to do one time around just for speed's sake. Okay, 15 minutes. Let's see, left or right? I think we'll have our light source right here. And I'm using the corner of my brush right now. And now I'm going to use the full edge. Boom. And I'm going to kind of leave out certain areas on purpose. And I'm going to hit there. And don't ever come back to the middle when you're trying to hit your light source. Just work your way out. And unless you want to kind of bring out a little bit more light, in which case is what I'm doing right now. I'm going to kind of come back into the middle just a little bit and break that rule just a little right there. There we go. And what we're going to do next is we're going to go back into that, blend it all together so we can soften it up and bring out some of the white or some of the blue that's in the dark edges. And be sure to really clean off your brush because you're going to go back and use it again. Oh, my bad. Okay, I'll put you right here. And where's my 2-inch? There it is. There we go. Now, I'm just going to kind of blend it out from the center and work my way in reverse order all the way around. And then I'm going to bring it to the side real gently like while it's dry. And then I'm going to wipe that off real good with a paper towel that's got some of that remover stuff on it. I like how dark it is right now. So this consistency I'm going to actually work with. It looks bright on the camera, but it's actually not that bright. It's just the quality of the camera. If y'all have any questions, feel free to try to stop me while I'm doing this. But I'm going to try to work relatively fast. Where's my... There it is. Okay, next step, dip your finger in. This is the fun part. Into some white. Just like that. Then just right here. Boop! There's your moon. That's it. It's a little ugly moon. It's not even a full circle. We can come back over that with clouds. That's the cool thing. And I think I'll probably do that after the show. Oh yeah, if y'all don't mind sharing out the broadcast, that'd be awesome. Whoever's still watching. Because I forgot to share it out completely. All right, so first line of business, we're going to go into some ultramarine blue. Big glop of that. Tiny bit of crimson. Going to make a nice purple color. Actually, I'm going to get a lot more of that ultramarine blue. And then just a smidge more of that crimson because why not? We need it to be somewhat dark. Well, actually really nice and dark, but more towards the blue side. We need it to be similar to a purple, but more blue. Because I want this to be mostly blue. And you know what? I think I might even sell this one for just $200 afterwards if someone wants to just buy that later. Just so that I can buy some more art supplies. Because I'm actually going to start investing in smaller canvases. So, there we go. Going to invest in smaller ones and better ones so that I can paint 2 little dinky ones a day. And yes, here we go. Maybe get a little bit of yellow. So on my cam or my palette, it's almost like a darker purple. But if you add yellow, it turns it brown. So I'm just going to add a smidge of yellow so we can get it towards the brownish side. And it looks black whenever you put it on there. And you can use this whole thing and put clouds on it, but you can just use this as it is and be like, okay, it's already got clouds and atmosphere there as it is. So that's ultimately your decision. So I've got about 12 minutes. I'm just going to put in some quick mountains and trees. You know what? Actually, I'm not going to do what I typically do with mountains and stuff. I'm just going to have one little, maybe a cliff right here, and then have it to where we've got, I think I'm just going to use this here as like a river or water source, and then have this as like the ground stuff. Yeah, I like that. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, so where to start? I think we'll go right here. We're going to make this part a real dark cliff. Just a far, far away cliff. I'm actually going to go back in and use ultramarine blue strictly. See what happens here. And I've, of course, got a little bit of too much of that oil stuff in there. So here we go. I'm going to kind of pull it out, just drag it. I'm going to tap in a couple hills and mountains over here, make them look a little far away. Maybe even cut into the light source right here. There we go. I'm going to keep it real dark over here. And I'm using the flat of my knife to kind of connect different cliff sides. There we go. Now I'm actually going to take a brush and kind of smooth this away. Just like I'm going to play with a little bit of this here, mountainside. Oh goodness, I'm low on time. Alrighty, here we go. Y'all ready for this? I'm just gonna go super fast. And what to do? So I'm going to actually be taking just little bits of white. Wipe off the knife real quick, real good, because I don't want purple getting in here. I'm going to be using the smaller edge of the blade. And make sure it's cut across real thin. Kind of go into it like this. And what I'm going to do later is I'm going to actually kind of cut into the waterway that I'm making. And it's okay if you drag it. It's a good thing. I'm gently tapping this, touching it with the edges. And then you can drag it if you want to have more exaggerated ripples and waves and stuff. And leave these dark spots in between because that makes it look realistic. Where it's... Hey Jared, have you ever done a sky picture? Just strictly the sky? Yes. I've done a couple strictly of the sky. This one, I don't know if it's a galaxy or not. I'm honestly not sure what that comment was, to be totally honest. So if you could retype that in what you meant to say, that'd be awesome. So, no, I just haven't painted in any mountains or hills or anything yet. And I'm really dragging it across hard so that I can cut in and get this blue color. So it looks really crisp. And then I wipe off the knife on the palette and then go back into some white and some of that same blue color or the white color. And whenever you drag right over it, what happens is it gives the illusion of different waves and stuff. So you can cut over it and then cut back and cut over it once again. Straighten it out. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. It's like we've got a very, very misty kind of lake. And that's what I want to portray right now. And I do have a little bit of yellow that I mixed in here by accident, but it actually looks good. So I'm leaving it. Ooh, and what we could do is just have little different waterfalls in the area as well. That's easy to attain just by kind of going sideways and then just dragging it down. But you want to have a nice dark area that you're doing that over when you do it. And you want it to be pure white when you do it too, because the other color just kind of makes it harder to see. Or what you could do is just kind of take that same pure white and just go straight at an angle and just kind of let it graze down. I've got like 4 minutes, so I'm going to kind of speed through this. And you know what? I'm not even going to put too many details in there with the mountains and stuff. I'm just going to kind of go through real quick. Maybe have a shoreline right here with my nice river color or river scene. And then have a nice tree up in the middle. And that'll be it. And then I'll sell this for, I don't know, 200 bucks. Not even worry about the price because it's just a quick stream piece. And then you can flip it over this other way, cut into it, or you can pull and then cut into it as well, just like this. Then my favorite thing, or one of my favorite things, is kind of dragging it out wide, like that. Have one big wave. and just let it graze, graze, graze. Leave little black, little dark spaces in between so that it can look like it's got more shape than it actually does. There we go. Oh wait, I actually have another 6 minutes after it hits 7, so I can actually work on it a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to take the same white, and I'm just going to barely tap the edges of this mountain. Reason being, because when you barely touch the tips of these hills, you can actually graze it. It looks like there's a silhouette almost. And then what you could do also, take a little brush, just blend it out towards the bottom. Make it look even more misty than it is. And then just cut across it again. Make it look like the moon's way out in front and not the mountains. And it's just real misty. Kind of mess around with the perspective as well. Or I could actually take a tree or take a big dark spot right here, put a tree, make it look like this is a waterfall. As a matter of fact, that's kind of a good idea. So I'm going to actually play around with that idea. So, boom. We'll make it look like, yeah, I like that. That was a good move on my part. I'm just going to highlight with white towards the tips and make it look like it's all flowing off. And then we can even have it flowing off right here. But I'll have a little tree right here as well, so that we can kind of give it a definite edge to the waterfall. Because I'm going to make it actually start falling off right here once I scrape it off. So let me get this white off. Then I'll scrape it off. So what I mean by scrape it off, I'm just literally ripping off the paint, the white paint, and the blue paint right here where the mountains are. And then the areas that I want it to be kind of misty, I'm going to leave it there. But right here is where I want it to kind of, right here. I want it to have that waterfall. And I'll probably end up touching up the edges of the mountains right here, just so that it can show. So real quick, just going to touch it with a little bit of that blue and white that I had on my palette knife earlier, just so that we can show some indications of light. And you can pull it as well if you want. And what that pulling does is it creates an edge. So now let's get a little bit more of that darker color in there. Get a brush, kind of blend it out just a little bit. Create almost like a shoreline. Wipe that off real quick. Take that tap. All right, y'all, I got 2 minutes to work on this guy. Let's get that defined edge like I was telling y'all about earlier. I'm going to take the tip of my knife right here. I'm just going to... okay, we'll roll with it. Take that, just brush it down, just like this. I'm even going to kind of extend it. There we go. Now let's see if I can work in a tree within like a minute and a half. Here we go. Challenge time. Boom. We're gonna have a big tree. This one's huge. We don't know how long it's been standing there, but it's been there for a while. And let's get some more shadows over here just because Moon needs a little bit of shadows. I'm just taking that, just really kind of flattening it out right here. And then we're going to have a little dinky skinny tree right over here. Really, really skinny. We're going to add a little bit more crimson to this guy because our shadows are going to be red. Here we go. So let's just put on the bark real quick. I'm taking it to the backs and even corners of this guy, and you can actually kind of mess around with it a little bit if you want. Come to the sides, change the angles, just like that. Do the same with the little guy. Just touch the backs. Whatever comes off, comes off. Which is what you're going to want to use. All right, last bit, we're going to highlight the tree. Actually, we're going to add 1 or 2 more branches on them. Little dinkers. Little dinkers. Skinny guys. Man, I'm really pushing it. But it looks pretty nice. Big pieces of bark here and there. Big roots. We're gonna have another root right here, just because we can. Give him a shadow. And then, next line of business, we're gonna take a little bit of white. And we're gonna touch, just touch his edges. And I have a lot of white on here, so just gonna glaze it on there. Just graze it, caress it, finesse it, whatever you want to call it. And then when you find you've got too much purple on there, it's okay. Just wipe it off and put it back on. And go, 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 go. Touch, touch, touch. Just like that. There you go. And you can even touch the tops of the shadow area right here. Start giving the little highlights right around this area too. Boom. And final little touches. Then another thing you could do, but I'm not going to, just because I've run out of time. Just kind of touch the other edges too, because a lot of light does reflect onto the tree from the other objects. And I'm going to actually touch up this right here. And that'll be his root. And I want it to be pure white. So there we go. And you can just flatten it out with your knife to make a little land space, and then have the rest as your what is it called? Why am I drawing a blank on this? the rest as your water. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. And it's okay to have yellow because in night scenes, you got a lot of yellow. So I'm just going to touch up on this mountain real quick, and then I'll say she's done. And I'm going to take a little bit of blue to the back of this, and I'm actually going to add some yellow because at nighttime, believe it or not, there's actually a lot of yellows that you see for the highlights. So I'm going to add some yellows to the back of this mountain. That's not what I wanted to do, but that's okay. There. I think she's done. We'll just scrape this part off. And then there. Kind of drag her down. And then just cut that. Make her look a little bit more prissy and primmed up. There we go. Boom. Now you have a nice palette knife painting. Whipped it up in an hour, right at, or a little bit over actually. I did not beat my hour challenge, but that's okay. This is what you can do within around an hour time. So I'm going to get y'all real close to the canvas so y'all can see what was done. If y'all want this, $200, but it'll just be going straight to my my art supplies so that I can have better art supplies. This was a ton of fun. I'm gonna get y'all really close to the tree so you can see exactly what happened. So there's a lot of crimsons that went into this. It looks dark on the camera, but it's actually bright once you get in person. It's got crimsons, it's got blues, it's got purples. It's even got some yellows down here. See how that shines around? It's because of the light that reflects off of everything else. Yes, very pretty. Hello, Ren. It's good to see you. I'll be on your broadcast here, or not on your broadcast, but watching your broadcast here shortly, if you have one. This is just what I whipped up today. Tried to do a black canvas painting in an hour. It did not work out in my favor, strictly because, you know, I put the acrylic paint on a little bit too thick, so it took an extra like 10 minutes to dry. But it actually turned out pretty well. So I'm gonna horse around on it more than likely, or on a different painting another time. This one I'm gonna call it finished, and this is how I'm gonna sign it. With the tip of my knife, I'm gonna scrape in that little bits of cursive. There we go. There's my signature. You'll only be able to see it if you're here in person, or if you get it. All right. So now that this guy's done, I'm gonna get on to the other one that I was just messing with. And I think this broadcast is officially over. Actually, I'm just gonna leave it up here until I finish the broadcast. So if anybody wants to ask any questions later, you're more than welcome. If you have any questions now, you got like until I finish this delicious piece of butter cake to ask them. So if you have a question about the process or the techniques, just go ahead and ask them. I am listening. or paying attention. I guess I can't listen since I just have context. I need to have you on soon. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, that'd be a blast, Brent. That'd be a fun time. Man, dude, have you seen this one? I think you have, but this one once it dries up, I'm going to be framing that and putting it in the gallery that I just got into. Super proud of that one. So much fun. Like, oh my goodness. I had to wait for like 3 days for it to dry last time I waited on it, and I did that maybe 3 times over the course of 2 weeks. Looks like a photograph. Like the further away from it you are, you're like, is that a picture? Is that a photo? Did you take that? It's like, no, I painted it. But yeah. So Ren, when are you going to start painting? You should totally do it. No pressure. Oh yeah. I'm probably gonna send you. Like, what do you like eating cake, Ren? If you do, this butter cake is the way to go. Actually, I'll post up that recipe. If anybody wants it, just inbox me or something, and I'll post it on Facebook or something, or I'll just send it directly to you because, oh, it's so good. And I will probably end up eating it or making it again soon. But I saw this recipe for. Here, let me get this in view a little bit better. But I saw this recipe for like a mint chocolate chip fudge, and I'm going to seriously start making it. Once I go and buy the. Actually, I've got 30 or 40 minutes to go buy it, so I might actually go. No, I'm gonna have to wait until the next painting sells. Disregard. Because I have to go buy white chocolate chips for it. There's a lot of chocolate involved, and then a lot of chocolate chips, and then mint extract and eggs and stuff. I'm gonna have to get the recipe pulled up on my Pinterest or something. It looked delicious. And I've been experimenting a lot with like baking and stuff. It's just another form of art. It's a lot of fun. Well, I take that back. Cooking is a form of art. Baking's more like a science. Well, I'm doing it right. I'm wearing it. All right. I'm going to let y'all go for the day. Y'all have a good one.